Now, when it comes to the game of fat loss, we all know that we need to improve our diet and, of course, eat better. Now, you guys have probably heard me speak about the importance of protein and why we need it, and how you should all be probably increasing your intake of high quality protein. Well, today we're going to talk about specifically how much, so that you can ensure that you're actually getting adequate amounts in that will then enhance your body's ability to not only maintain muscle mass, but also burn fat, keep you satiated, curb your cravings, and also keep your energy higher. So we kind of need to be careful. Most of us aren't eating anywhere near enough. So when I say be careful, I don't mean because it's so bad and it's so dangerous or anything like that. But there is a point, if we're going to sort of start bringing on more protein, there is a point where we get sort of diminishing returns or no real additional benefit once we go above a certain threshold. And what we want to make sure that we're doing, of course, is just eating enough to get the results that we want, and obviously to help us keep full and satiated and feeling good. So there are simple ways to do it, which I will show you, but there are also slightly more complicated ways in terms of using specific numbers and measuring and so on. Now, I personally am not a fan of measuring out and weighing foods and all the rest of it, but some people do like that, particularly if you're an analytical type and so on. Now, if this is yourself and that's more the way you like to do things, then I would recommend you start with getting 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of mass. So let's say, for example, you are 70, or let's say you're 90 kilos and you're looking to lose weight. You're currently 90 kilos. So what you would do is take that 90 and multiply it by 1.6. So let's quickly work this out on the calculator. 1.6 times 90 equals 144. So that would mean throughout each day, you would consume 144 grams of protein. Now, for many of us, we're like, well, okay, cool, 144 grams of protein. What the hell does that mean? So if we look at it on average, say 100 grams of chicken breast is around 25-ish grams of protein. Some packaging will say 23, some will say up to 30 and so on. But if, as an average, you say, oh, well, chicken breast, for example, is about 25 grams of protein per 100 grams of weight. So in this particular case, if that's what it is, that would be roughly 5.5 to 6 chicken breasts per day would provide that amount of protein. Now, I'm not recommending you eat 6 chicken breasts a day. I recommend you get your protein from multiple sources. And of course, chicken breast isn't the most tasty and so on anyway. For many of us, we might prefer the meat on the bone and so on. But just bear in mind that obviously the meat on the bone isn't quite so lean. So there are additional things that come with that. And it's also often not quite as high in protein as, for example, the breast or the leaner meats might be. That's not always the case, but as a general rule. So that's where we would begin. Okay, 1.6 grams of protein. And let's say that's when we're training around 3 days a week. Then what we might find, if over time I do get to a point where I'm super lean, or I get to a point where I'm now training 4, 5, 6 days a week, well, then we might want to start bumping that up. So we might go to 1.7 or 1.8 grams per kilo of body mass in order to account for the fact that we're going to be training more and therefore breaking down more muscle tissue. So we're going to want to obviously rebuild and replenish that at a higher rate by bringing in greater amounts of raw resources. Now, if you are somebody that doesn't want to be measuring and weighing and looking at packaging and all the rest of it, then there is a much simpler way. And it's the way that I recommend in my metabolic meal method. So one of our recommendations within the 3 things that we must do more of is to increase our high quality protein. But the way that we do that is just to ensure that we are getting 2 palm-sized portions of protein per main meal. So our breakfast, our lunch, and our dinner, we would make sure that we've got 2 palm-sized portions in each of those main meals. And generally speaking, on average, for most of us, that's going to account for the amount of protein that we need. That's going to have us have us covered, with plenty of protein that will not only help us maintain muscle mass whilst we're maybe on lower calories and so on, trying to reach our fat loss goals, but it's also going to allow us to keep our metabolism high, because protein costs more energy or more calories to run from mouth to anus. It's going to help us stay satiated for longer. It's going to help to control our sugar cravings, blood sugar spikes, and so on. And as I say, a simple way to do it without needing calculators or looking at packaging and measuring is just to use your hand. And when I say your palm, I'm talking about literally the size of your palm as well as the thickness. So 2 palm-sized portions per main meal will be plenty of protein for most of us to get our protein requirements covered to help us reach our fat loss goals. Now, again, of course, if I get to a point where I'm going to be training more and more frequently and for extended periods of time, then, okay, it may need to increase. Maybe I'll have 2.5 palm-sized portions, or maybe even up to 3. But rarely is that necessary for most of us. And the best thing to do, regardless of whether you choose to use the numbers and take that 1.6 and multiply it by your body weight in kilos, or whether you use the hand size guide, what you would want to do is just make sure that you're tracking your progress, not so much with your food, but with your results. So it's a case of, okay, well, I'm eating like this right now. Am I moving towards the results I'm trying to get? If you are, carry on. If you're not and things start to slow down, well, then that's when we may need to look at things and go, okay, well, actually, now I need to tweak things and improve them so that I can continue to get results and move in the direction that I'm looking to go with my weight loss. So if you have any questions on this, or you want me to dig into it a bit deeper, and of course, if you want me to dig into the amount of veg you need, your carbs, your fats, and so on, drop a comment below. Let me know, and I will my God, I can't speak. I will create another video based around that stuff to help you guys move forward and make sure that your whole meal is portioned adequately. And if not, I look forward to chatting with you all in my next video. Take it easy, people.